The scene opens with a group of criminals preparing for action. A hacker disables all the security cameras while the sniper climbs to the rooftop. When Abigail leaves the theater, her driver puts her in the car, unaware that the criminals have placed a tracker on it. As soon as the car starts moving, the kidnappers also get into action. The hacker opens the house doors, and 3 criminals enter Abigail's room to hide behind the furniture. One of the female criminals realizes they are about to kidnap a child and protests, but the others tell her to deal with it. When Abigail arrives home and goes to bed, the criminals seize the opportunity to attack. One of them tries to hold her, but Abigail breaks free. Another criminal takes control and covers her mouth while capturing her. The woman, who didn't want to harm children, injects a sedative into Abigail to put her to sleep. While the other half of the team waits outside, the sniper watches a car approaching. The trio hastily puts Abigail in a bag and escapes through the window. Crossing the garden, they meet up with the sniper, but the alarms go off and they have to run. Fortunately, the last 2 criminals pick them up in time, and they escape without any issues. During the getaway, they check Abigail's pulse to ensure she's okay and blindfold her. As they approach a crossroads, the hacker alerts the driver to take another road. They arrive at an old abandoned mansion outside the city and meet Lambert, the mastermind behind the kidnapping. Lambert reminds the group of the rules. No names or personal stories and no fooling around. It's a 24-hour job until Abigail's wealthy father pays the $50 million. He doesn't reveal who the father is but collects their cell phones to avoid tracking. Before leaving, Lambert gives them code names inspired by the Rat Pack. The team starts drinking, and Joey refuses to share his candy with Dean, who tries to guess everyone's backstory but fails. Joey, however, gets everything right. Frank was a detective, Peter a mafia enforcer. The hacker Sammy comes from a wealthy family and does this for fun. Rickles is an ex-Marine, and Dean is a sociopathic driver. Frank concludes that Joey is a recovering addict. Joey goes to check on Abigail, who complains about the tight blindfold. Joey covers her and removes the blindfold, also placing the handcuffs in a less painful way. Abigail cries, and Joey promises they won't hurt her, making a pinky promise. Abigail says they made a mistake because her father doesn't care about her. Joey worries and informs Frank, who scoffs but later checks on the girl and discovers she's the daughter of Christoph Laser, a crime lord. Frank panics and alerts the others. Joey and Rickles also recognize the name and share their concern. Soon, they find themselves trapped in the house, with all exits blocked. Joey discovers Rickles has been severely injured and accuses Frank of being Valdez. During the confusion, Abigail reveals herself to be a vampire, breaking the handcuffs with a ballet move. Peter tries to catch her but fails, and she attacks him. Sammy finds out that garlic and crosses don't affect Abigail. In a tense moment, Peter suggests they calm down, but Frank threatens him. Armed with pool cues turned into stakes, they try to confront Abigail, who is dancing with Dean's body. During the confrontation, they discover that nothing conventional works against her. It becomes clear that Abigail was Valdez all along. An interesting fact about the film is that it pays homage to the classic The Lost Boys with a vampire scene in a mansion. Amidst all this chaos, one thing is certain. If I were there, I wouldn't try to negotiate with a vampire but perhaps look for a less obvious escape route. Continuing, the search of the house begins. Sammy, the unlucky one, takes a dirty corridor and gets scared by bats, falling into a pool. She crawls out through the bloody mess, screaming. Meanwhile, Abigail surprises Peter, who, in true horror movie style, runs and locks himself in a room. But Abigail breaks the door and chases him with balletic grace. Peter's run is abruptly interrupted when Frank opens a door, knocking him off the railing. Abigail, relentless, pushes Frank down the stairs and sits on him, giving Joey a chance to attempt the injection. But Abigail slaps Joey's hand, sending the syringe flying behind a locked gate. Sammy grabs Abigail, who retaliates by biting her arm. As things escalate, Abigail grabs Frank's leg and starts flying, only for Peter to attack her mid-air, making her drop Frank. Peter pins Abigail down while Joey retrieves the syringe and injects the sedative. Abigail hurls insults and threats at Joey before passing out. Sammy, now bitten, panics about turning into a vampire. Abigail wakes up locked in an elevator, revealing her master plan and knowledge of the group's true identities and sins, each having wronged Laser or his gang. Frank suggests getting rid of her, prompting Abigail to change her offer. She will spare only the one who frees her. Peter, desperate, tries to free her, but Joey shoots him. The group leaves except Frank, who stays to watch Abigail. She tells him to pull the Agatha Christie book in the library to open a secret door, but predictably, it's a lie. Joey arrives, breaking a window to let sunlight in, burning Abigail's hand. The group takes refuge in the library, pulling the book in frustration, unsuccessfully. Sammy's non-transformation brings relief, and Joey shares her story and hope for redemption. Inspired by the word reset, Sammy suggests finding the power source to short-circuit the locks. The group splits up to search, but Abigail's control over Sammy through the bite turns her into a vampire, attacking and killing Peter. Abigail, seizing the chaos, makes Sammy dance before Joey and Frank arrive. Sammy's transformation forces the duo to flee. Joey uses a tray to reflect sunlight and open a secret door. Hesitant but desperate, Joey and Frank pass through it, finding the mansion's control room and Lambert, who is also a vampire. Lambert reveals his betrayal and proposes an alliance with Frank, who accepts. Lambert knocks Joey out and turns Frank into a vampire. Waking up to this horror, Joey witnesses Frank's painful transformation. Lambert orders Frank to feed on Joey, but Frank stakes Lambert instead. Abigail arrives, and Frank overpowers her, feeding on her blood. Joey disables the security measures but finds the exit locked. After an emotional voicemail to her son, Joey confronts Frank, who starts throwing her against the furniture. Abigail, too weak to defeat Frank alone, begs Joey for help. The girls team up, but Frank is too strong. In a final confrontation, Frank stakes Joey to a pillar. He continues attacking Abigail, but Joey, pretending to be under his control, pushes Frank, giving Abigail a chance to fight back. Joey retrieves the stake, and together they stab Frank, making him explode. Abigail assures Joey that she won't turn into a vampire because Frank is dead. As promised, Abigail lets Joey go, asking her to find her son. Suddenly, Laser appears, but Abigail defends Joey, who saved her. Laser, surprisingly polite, lets her go. Joey runs to the van, finding a lollipop she savors while driving. A small, sweet victory amid the chaos. If I were in the mansion, I certainly wouldn't wander alone like Peter. Instead, I'd stick with the group, watching out for any suspiciously dancing children. An interesting point in the story is Abigail's manipulation through psychological warfare and the classic horror trope of playing with food. Speaking of tropes, this plot twist reminds me of the mind games of cunning vampires. I hope you enjoyed the video and see you next time.
And I gotta tell you, it was perfect. Perfect.